Hey everybody, welcome to today's live stream. And we're going to be talking about where to deploy medication lock boxes and locking bags. And it's not everywhere, of course. Not We're not being authoritarian or totalitarian, just the places that can benefit from it. Of course, there's homes with children, right? Not just the ones that directly have children living in the home, people who have friends that come over and visit and whatnot. If they have kids, so then those people all of a sudden have a need to lock up their stuff. And there's over 30 million households with children in the US and like 130 million households. So about a quarter of our homes have children living in them. And then, however many end up at somebody else's house. So there's a need there, and then other areas that can benefit. Of course, we're talking living facilities, assisted living facilities, nursing facilities, those kinds of places where a bunch of us are gonna end up at some point in our lives, medicated, most likely, with people coming and going in and out of our rooms or homes, whatever that ends up, looking like. If it's a caregiver situation, and you're still in your home or in one of those assisted places. In some like states or municipalities, what have you, have requirements that say, okay, you need to have this stuff locked up in some fashion. This is how it might look like over here. Some states, they implement it so that those facilities have like a room, like a dedicated room for their medications, and it's all handled there and then distributed out. Um, and then others, you can have it in your room, and it's up to you to figure it out. Um, so those places, schools, of course, your school nurses out there handle lots of kinds of medications, and they need something to lock it up. I have worked with educational school districts in the state of Washington to get boxes to their folks. Love to see it at every single school, having some sort of solution for this type of stuff. And then, let's see here, other areas that benefit from having it. Pretty much just anyone, anywhere with medications and stuff that need to get locked up. Kind of racking my brain on the spot. I should have had a whole bunch of stats pulled up on the side and everything. But as it goes, as it is. And where are we over here? Okay, great. So we covered all the homes, foster care facilities. There's like 400,000 children living in foster care, and well over 100,000 households that are like foster care homes. In those environments, foster providers are required to keep like everything under lock and key, down to like aspirin, scissors, knives, like everything. And it's typically a double lock situation. So either in a box, in a locked cupboard, or in a locked cupboard in a locked room, but double locks on just about everything. And I'm working with, I think I mentioned this last stream yesterday, is working with an organization in North Carolina to get a lot more of just locking devices into their communities. And they're sort of modeling things off of Lock and Talk Virginia. Excellent program there at trying to get parents to lock their stuff and talk about it with their kids. I do think that talking to our children about this stuff it's going to be more effective in the long run, I believe, because they're going to take that knowledge and hopefully pass it on to others. Either, they're going to grow up and become a parent and then tell other parents, hey, this is what we need to be doing. Or, as a young person, they're going to be going around saying, you just got to stay out of stuff. And, if you see one of these boxes, leave it alone. I know that's a very ideal kind of thought, but it would be really awesome to have happen, or to, even hear about that happening. So hey, that's a lot of places that could greatly benefit from having a somewhere to lock their stuff up. Medicine cabinets, they don't lock, and if they do, you can't take them anywhere. You're not gonna pack it up into your RV or something when you're going on a camping trip or anything like that. So whatever we use, we it's gotta be in our lives. It's got to be something that we can take anywhere with us. And yeah, lock boxes. They can have the appearance of being clunky and unwieldy and everything else, but it is easy enough to travel with and to carve out some space in a suitcase or what have you for something like this. And if you're really concerned about TSA, you can leave it unlocked in your bag, or you can set the combination to the whatever you have it to so that it can be unlocked, or keep it on your person. This is a bit to like have in a bag. So let's say you have a carry-on, throw it in there. I mean, it'll fit, but you start losing a bit of space, and then you've got a metal box on your back, clunk clunk clunk, rattling around. It can be a little annoying. You can get a bag, that can definitely help streamline things, make things quieter. But at the end of the day, as long as it's something that somebody uses, you don't got to get hung up on the form, as long as it's got the function. I'm curious, from y'all, like what did I miss in here in this? Daycare centers. I don't have stat. Do I have? Not in my head. On the number of daycare centers and whatnot. But I quite certain they need it just as much as like the foster providers do. If you got a bunch of kids running around and there's things you don't want them to get into, if you implement it, you just use it. I got to get back away from the weeds in a lot of this stuff that I'm doing. It being a one-man show, it's stretched thin. I'm trying to hone in, focus on the right things that are gonna show progress, net progress. Can be difficult. Like you just doing customer service or marketing or some programming or this or any one particular thing. Does it all progress things forward, move things forward? And I think that doing these live streams more, getting all of you involved more, that's definitely the way forward. And I've still been kicking around this idea of creating a nonprofit specifically for going after all these different grants and stuff, so that I can just hand all this stuff out myself as well, and shape those events and the programming and everything into what I see is being needed. Just these quick interactions with people that have kids, saying, here you go, take this home, lock up your drugs. Most folks are surprisingly receptive to some basic messaging like that. Just lock your drugs. Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. I've got this prescription from a root canal I had 4 years ago. Well, one, why is that medication in your home? If you received an opioid prescription for something and that time has passed, get it out of the house. Take it back to the pharmacy. There's medication drop boxes at the majority of pharmacies out there, CVS, Walgreens, whatnot. They've got that. There are drug take back days. The DEA used to do an annual drug take back day, but that was not enough. Now they're doing 2 or more. I mean, every day should be drug take back day, and kind of normalize getting it out of the house, getting it somewhere where it can be disposed of properly. Yeah, opioids are on the FDA's list of flushable medications. Should we all be out there flushing our meds? No. When it comes down to, we absolutely have to get this out of the house, and there's just no other alternative out there. We don't even have a doTERRA bag. Then yeah, flush it. Just get it out of the house. And yeah, it sucks that you spent money on, something that you didn't use. And maybe reconsider the prescription next time around. Think maybe I don't need all of these oxys for a root canal. Because you probably don't. Yeah, not a doctor or a pain specialist, but I've heard stories of people getting big prescriptions of opioids for dental procedures. That's I don't know, not cool, not okay when other medications can help relieve pain without that chance of becoming addicted or developing an issue with the substance. It's about 5% of people who are prescribed an opioid develop an issue with it. And that's not much, 5% sounds like a small number. But if you compound that issue over years, it does add up. You can't say it doesn't. Now, oxys hit the street 95 or 96. And, of course, overdoses from opioids spiked by 1,500% when it hit the market. That was a fun stat in I think it was abnormal psychology class. And it was like, well, they didn't say that, oh, hey, when it was released, there was this big spike. It was just this stat in mid-90s or something, overdoses went up. And it's like, well, when did it hit the market? Well, yeah, new drug comes on the scene. Yeah. Again, without education, this is how to handle it. You're going to see, people not react well to it. Now, since the mid-90s, we've continued to prescribe opioids. And yeah, there was this, huge build-up to what was being dished out in our communities. There's the settlements, all of that. But we've gotten it down to about 140 million prescriptions a year. That's 5 to 7 million new cases of issues every year in our country. And that's not something that we can say, oh, well, we can ignore it, or that's not an issue. It's definitely an issue. It would be nice to see alternative medications be developed that don't have the potential for addiction or abuse and things like that. It'd be great to have that. And then we don't have to be living in this cycle of addiction of adults going out, getting prescribed something that they think is going to help them. They bring it back into the home. Kid gets into it, starts that cycle of addiction. And I do wonder, like, if I had gotten into an opioid when I was a kid, like, what would that have done to my development? Because like when I got into my dad's Prozac, there was no immediate anything. SSRIs don't work like that. If I had received that kind of euphoria or whatever, I could really see I could see myself, chasing those pills. And instead I got really depressed, even more depressed, that those happy pills didn't work and whatnot. But it's not outside the realm of possibility or what we're really talking about or dealing with here. Addiction starts in the home. People say it over and over again. It's totally true. If we make a stronger effort in our homes, well, that's breaking that cycle of addiction. That's breaking generational traumas by making that stronger effort, better protecting our children. And it's not too idealistic to think that we can't do it. I would love to see 2025 be like the year of the lockbox and push out 1 million units. I did a little over 7,000 last year. I'm on track to be doing like 70,000 plus this year, times 10 again. I know growth doesn't exactly work that way, but 700,000 next year. That's not too far off from 1 million. So let's call it 1 million, right? Looking at those use cases, where to deploy RemedyGuard, medication lock boxes, locking bags. 1 million is a drop in the bucket. There's plenty of homes out there that would happily raise their hands. And yeah, I do believe this. And I'm becoming more convinced about this to where I'm just going to like reconfigure everything, streamline it. So the public, they don't pay. There's no payment. They just got to sign up, raise their hand, say, I will go down to my local rec center, public health department, high school. Doesn't matter where this is. It could be a gravel parking lot somewhere, like people did with like COVID testing and that kind of stuff. Like just show up, run through that line, get your stuff, get your messaging, know what to do when you get home, and take action. And then in 2026, we should see considerably less overdoses in our ERs. Because 30 plus million households with children, sending out 1 million, well, not every home has substances and everything in it. Not everyone even needs it. Because there's plenty of kids out there that do get it. They're not going to get into shit. They know it's been driven home. They've been educated. Not going to happen. And yeah, sure, it's going to make the parent feel better by having it locked up. And you might not have to worry about your kid, but what about your kid's friends? And I'm not throwing shade on, your kid's friends or anything like that, but it only takes like this new Deadpool being out, and then I'm like rewatching Deadpool 2 and I'm thinking Colossus, only 2 or 3 moments. But it is kind of like that. It's just, a kid gets bored or is feeling a certain way about something, run off somewhere in the home, get into something, be faced with that decision. Do I ingest this? Do I, oh crap, what is this? Do I just steal it? Do I take it? Something like decisions in moments. I think that there's plenty of kids that are making better decisions thanks to adults talking to them about making better decisions. It's a cycle, you know. If there can be the cycles of the generational trauma, then we can develop cycles of generational education and cohesiveness, and not have it being like, all right, you kids, blah blah blah, and making it some sort of generational divide. Talk to them. Say, look, I'm dealing with this because my parents had to deal with this because their parents had to deal with this. Here's the situation. Here's the stuff that we have to deal with. Medications, they need to be locked up so that you, your friends, the plumber, the freaking whomever doesn't get into it. Keep all that stuff locked down. I would love to win the lottery. You hear about the folks who do win and they're bankrupt like a year or two later or something like that. Maybe 5. But it's always the same. And I think one of those folks, they had this stuff dropped on them and they didn't have like a purpose, somewhere to go and focus things on. It's like, okay, well, we've just been living paycheck to paycheck. What the hell do we do now? Yeah, find that purpose. Find something to do out there to move the needle. Just do more, do better, that kind of stuff. We're gonna get wrapping up here. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi. And next week we're going to be talking about some case studies, or at least I'm going to try to find some case studies related to what happens in a community after the messaging has been done and the products have been given out and all of that. Like, is there a statistical reduction in overdoses, ER visits, calls to poison centers? I haven't found that data. I'm going to go try looking some more. If you have that data, I would love to hear about it. That's one, again, I'm going to keep harping on is data and making sure that we know what we can be doing to, be the most effective. And so I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for stopping in.